Now, let us begin with simple permanent tissue. In my previous video, I have already told you the two types of tissues, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. So, let us begin in detail. So, simple permanent tissue is of three types. First, parenchyma. Second one is collenchyma. And the third one is sclerenchyma. You can also learn it like this, PCS. So, when anyone will talk about simple permanent tissue, so you can define it as PCS as parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. This is just for your reference. So, just for you to remember it. Now, when we will talk about parenchyma, so let us discuss one by one. So, first we will take parenchyma. So, first parenchyma. In parenchyma, the cells are loosely packed. I have told you again that the tissues are the group of the cells. So, the cells or the tissues of the simple permanent tissue, that of parenchyma, they are loosely packed. How? Suppose this is one tissue, then this is another tissue, this is another tissue, this is another tissue. This is a parenchyma cell, and the cells, or you can say group of cells, tissues, they are loosely packed. So, the space is created between them. You can see a large space is there. So, what is this large space? Intercellular space. So, the intercellular space is more in case of parenchyma cells. So, when you will talk about parenchyma, the cells are loosely packed and the intercellular space are more in parenchyma. This was about the intercellular space. Then when we will talk about the location where they are present. So, when we will talk about the location of parenchyma cell, so they are present at the epidermis or at the top layer of the plants. Where they are located? At the epidermis or at the top layer of the plants. Now, what is epidermis? Epidermis is itself the top layer. Like when we will talk about the epidermis of the human being, the skin outer layer is termed as the epidermis. So, here parenchyma are present at all the outer layer or epidermis of the plant body. So, this is about the location of the parenchyma cell. Then when we will talk about the cells are living or dead, so the parenchyma cells are living cells. So the parenchyma are the living cells. Then when we will talk about the walls of the parenchyma, they are thin walled. They are thin walled, so the parenchyma cells are having thin walls. So, suppose this is you can say that this is a parenchyma cells. So, the walls are thick, space is there and intercellular space is more and the cells are loosely packed. So, this is about the parenchyma. Now, I will tell about the collenchyma. When we will talk about the collenchyma, the cells are not loosely packed or intercellular space is less or absent. In collenchyma, the intercellular, suppose these are the cells. So, you can see that the intercellular space are either absent or very less in case of collenchyma. So, This is the structure of collenchyma. Then when we will talk about the location of collenchyma, they are present just below the epidermis. Like parenchyma was present at the outer layer, and collenchyma is present just below the epidermis of the leaves or the epidermis layer of the plant. So it is the, or you can say it is the second layer. Location is the second layer of the plant body. So just below the epidermis. So it is the location of the collenchyma. Then when we will talk about the structure, so the walls are thick in case of collenchyma. In case of parenchyma, the walls were thin. In case of collenchyma, it is thick walled. And if we will talk about the function of collenchyma, it provides elasticity to the plant. You might have seen that if you bend any plant, like the plant branches can be bent or the leaf can be bent, but it cannot break easily. So that elasticity is due to the presence of collenchyma. So the function will be provides elasticity. Provides elasticity. So this was about the collenchyma. Then we will discuss about the sclerenchyma. And one thing I missed in collenchyma, that the collenchyma cells are also living cells. So the parenchyma and collenchyma are the living cells and the sclerenchyma are the dead cells. So when we will talk about the cells, they are the dead cells. So the first point will be dead cells. Then the second, when we will talk about the location, they are present in the inner part, or you can see the hard part of the woods, they are present. So inner part. They are present in the inner part of the plant. So they are dead cells, location is inner part of the plant. Now when we will talk about the intercellular spaces, when we will talk about the intercellular spaces are completely absent in case of sclerenchyma. So you can say intercellular space is absent. And they are thick walled, extremely thick walled. So they are extremely thick walled. They are extremely thick walled and the intercellular spaces are absent. Like this is one cell, this is another cell, this is another cell, this is another cell. Suppose this is a sclerenchyma cell, you can say it is thick walled, and no intercellular space is present in between them. So this was about the walls. Now when we will talk about the function of sclerenchyma, they provide the mechanical strength. When we will talk about the function of sclerenchyma, they provide the mechanical strength, or you can see the hardening of the tree. That is because of the presence of sclerenchyma. So, provides strength, or you can say hardening of the trees. So in your book also on page number 12 you can see difference between parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma is given. This table you can read it and you can memorize these points thoroughly, because I have explained here, but you can read it also. Then we will come to complex permanent tissue. Now, when we will talk about complex permanent tissue, it is of two types, xylem and phloem. So, the complex permanent tissues are of two types. First one is xylem and the second one is phloem. As I have already told you that the difference between complex and simple permanent tissue, that the simple permanent tissues are having the same functions, but the complex permanent tissue, they are having one or more different functions. So that is why they are termed as complex permanent tissue. Now it is of two types, xylem and phloem. Now they are together known as vascular bundles of the plant. What they are known as? Vascular bundles. Now, why they are termed as vascular bundles? In our body also, you might have studied about the vascular system, like blood, arteries, veins and capillaries. They are the vascular system of our body, and what is the main role of it? To transport the oxygen or to transport the blood throughout our body. So similarly in the plants also, like we water the plant or the food is prepared in the leaf, but how that is transported throughout the plant, or how the water is transported throughout the plant body, so a medium or a channel is required. So that particular channel is nothing else but the vascular bundles that are present in the plant, and they comes under complex permanent tissue. So they are of two types. So first we will begin with xylem. Now what are xylem? Xylem are used to transport water throughout the plant body. Now you can see, suppose this is a plant body and this is a root. So this is a soil particle, this is the root. So we water the plant to the soil, right? And the water is absorbed through the root. This also we are knowing that we water the plant to the soil, and the water is absorbed by the root or the root hairs that are present beneath or under the soil. Now what happened? This water is stored here. Now a medium or channel is required to transport this water to the plant body. So that channel is xylem. Now what is the role of xylem? They drag the water in the upward movement. They drag the water in the upward movement. Water is transported in the upward movement to the stems, to the leaves, to the flowers, or whatever parts are present in the plant. So water is transported. So what is the main role of the xylem? Is to transport water. what is the main role of xylem? To transport water. Now what is the direction when we will talk about? It is unidirectional, and that too in upward direction. Just now I have told that the water is present, the water is absorbed in the root, and that comes in the upward direction. So when we will talk about the direction, that is unidirectional. And that too in upward movement. So you can say in upward movement. So this was about the direction of the xylem. And about the cells, when we will talk about, xylem cells are dead cells. So they are dead cells. Then parts of xylems are also given, like xylem fibers, tracheids and all. So you can read it in your book and you can learn. So this was about the xylem. Then I will discuss about the phloem. Now, as I have told you that xylem is used to transport water, similarly the food is manufactured in which part of the plant? In the leaf. Now that food is also supposed to be transported to the plant. So what is the role of the phloem? To transport the prepared food throughout the plant body. So what is the main role of phloem? Transport food. This is the main role of phloem. Now, when we will talk about the direction, suppose this is a plant body. This is a leaf, these are the branches and all. This is a plant body, this is the root. Now you know that the food is prepared in the leaf. So, the prepared food location is leaf. Now this prepared food has to be transported upper side also as well as the lower side also, because food is required for the roots and lower branches also as well as for the upper branches also. So the phloem area or the phloem direction is unidirectional, means in upward direction also it transports food, as well as in the lower direction also it transports food. So when we will talk about the direction, it is bidirectional. Bidirectional means upward movement also as well as the lower movement also. Upward and downward movement is seen in case of phloem. And when we will talk about the cells of the phloem, they are living cells. They are living cells. So they transport water, it is bidirectional and they are living cells. Then when you will come to your book on page number 14, you can see a difference box is given, xylem and phloem. So xylem consists of dead cell, it consists of living cells, then it transports water and it transports food. So the same difference is given, you can go through it. So this was about the plant tissue. I have covered all the plant tissue. Now we will discuss about the animal tissues. Let's begin with animal tissue. Before we begin with animal tissue, let us quickly recap the plant tissue once again. So as I have told you that the tissues are of two types. First one is plant tissues and the second one is of animal tissue. Then when you will talk about the plant tissue, it is of two types. First one is meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. When you will talk about the meristematic tissue, it is of three types: apical meristem, then lateral meristem, and the third one is intercalary meristem. I am not writing meristem again and again, apical, lateral and intercalary. Then when you will talk about the permanent, it is again of two types. First one is simple and the second one is complex. When you will talk about the simple permanent tissue, it is of three types: parenchyma, second one is collenchyma, and the last one is sclerenchyma. And when you will talk about the complex permanent tissue, it is of two types: xylem and the second one is phloem. These two acts as the vascular bundles. Vascular bundles. So this is the quick recap of the plant tissue. Now we will discuss animal tissue in detail. Now we will discuss animal tissue in detail. So animal tissue is of four types. In this chapter so many subdivisions are there and a tabular form is given in your book, so kindly go through it. Now the first one is epithelial tissue. First one is epithelial tissue. Then the second one is muscular tissue. Then the third is connective tissue. And the fourth one is nervous tissue. The four types of tissues are: first one is epithelial tissue, then the second one is muscular tissue, the third one is connective tissue, and the fourth one is nervous tissue. Now we will discuss one by one in detail. First one is epithelial tissue. Now, epithelial tissue is derived from the word epidermis. Epidermis. So, it is present on the outer layer of our skin or at the outer layer. So, its location is, when you will talk about the location of the epithelial cells, they are present at the epidermis or outer layer skin, or you can also say that it acts as the outer covering of some of the organs. So, outer covering. So, it is present at the epidermis or outer layer of the skin or outer covering of certain organs. So, it is the location of the epithelial tissue. Now, when we will talk about the function of the epithelial tissue, when we will discuss about the functions, it acts as the protection. So, the first function that it provides is protection. Now, how it provides protection? Like you know that in our body so many organs are present, so many blood vessels are present, but the outermost covering of our body is what? Our skin. Now the skin acts as the covering. How? Because we come across so many dust, so many pollutants attack our body. But the very first thing that is exposed to the dust or pollutant is our skin. So the skin acts as the protective covering so that the dust cannot penetrate inside our body. So outside the skin only the dust is accumulated. So the skin acts as the protective covering. So the very first function is the protection. Like about the skin, because it is present at the epidermis or outer layer of the skin. When we will talk about the organs, when we will talk about the outer covering of the organs, similarly it protects the internal organs also. Like any organ is there, so it provides the protective covering, so the internal organs are not affected by the outside factors. So it acts as the protection. So this is the main function of the epithelial tissue. Now when we will talk about the structure, they are closely packed cells. So the first thing, they are closely packed cells without any intercellular spaces, and generally they are cuboidal or rectangular in shape. So the basic structure is somewhat like this. You can see the rectangular or cuboidal shape is there, and they are closely packed, means no intercellular or no space is present in between two cells. So no intercellular or no space is present in between the cells. So first structure you can say is closely packed, and the second you can say no intercellular space. So this was about the structure of the epithelial tissue. Now again when we will talk about the division, epithelial tissue is again divided into 4 more types. So when we will talk about the types of the epithelial tissue, it is of 4 types. First one will be squamous epithelial tissue. Then the second one is cuboidal. Then the third one is columnar, and the last one is ciliated epithelial tissue. Squamous epithelial tissue, cuboidal epithelial tissue, columnar epithelial tissue, and ciliated epithelial tissue. Now why these names are framed? On the basis of their shapes. So let us discuss one by one, and you can write down either squamous or squamous epithelial tissue completely. It is up to you, both are correct. Like if you will write only squamous tissue, it is also correct, and if you will write down squamous epithelial tissue, both are correct. So it is up to you that what you choose to write. So these are the 4 types of epithelial tissue. Now we will discuss them one by one. Now when we will talk about the squamous epithelial tissue, what is the first thing that will come into your mind when you will see it is squamous? So when you will see square, what is the first thing that will come in your mind is the word square. Okay. So the structure of the squamous epithelial tissue is somewhat square in shape. So when you will talk about the structure, you can see it is somewhat square in shape. So this is the main structure of squamous epithelial tissue. It is somewhat square in shape, or if you want you can take a common example of the floor tiles. They are flat or they are square in shape. Similarly, the squamous epithelial tissue is also having the same structure. So this is the structure of the squamous epithelial tissue. If you will talk about the location of the squamous epithelial tissue, they are present at the layer of our skin. Location, if you will talk about, they are present at the outer layer of skin. So this is the squamous epithelial tissue. Now we will come to our second one, that is cuboidal. Cuboidal epithelial tissue. So when you will talk about the structure of the cuboidal epithelial tissue, they are somewhat cube in shape. So this is the main structure of the cuboidal epithelial tissue, and when you will see again, it is derived from the word cuboid. So you can see each block is acting like a cuboid. So it is the main structure of the cuboidal epithelial tissue. So this is about the cuboidal epithelial tissue. Now when we will talk about the location where they are present, so they are present on the inner lining of the salivary and thyroid gland. So when we will talk about the location, they are present on the inner lining of salivary or thyroid gland. So they are present on the inner lining of salivary or thyroid gland. And one more thing I want to correct here, that in my first one, epithelial tissue, I have told you in my epithelial tissue, first part that I have told you, squamous epithelial tissue, the location will be the inner lining of the cheeks. So the location which I have told you, it will be inner lining of cheeks. Though epithelial are present at the epidermis also, but in your book it is given that they are present on the inner lining of the cheeks. So please consider this example, that they are present on the inner lining of the cheeks. This is of squamous epithelial I am talking. So this was about the squamous epithelial tissue. Now the third one will be your columnar epithelial tissue. Third one will be columnar epithelial tissue. So when you will talk about the columnar epithelial tissue, they are somewhat cylindrical in shape. This is the main structure of the columnar epithelial tissue. Now again it is derived from a word column, or you can say it is a cylindrical shape. So columnar epithelial tissue structure is this. Then when you will talk about the location, they are present on the inner lining of the intestine. So when you will talk about the location, they are present on the inner lining intestine. They are present on the inner lining of our intestine. So this is the location of the columnar epithelial tissue. Then the last one is ciliated epithelial tissue. So the last one here is ciliated epithelial tissue. So when you will talk about the structure, it is somewhat like this. when you will talk about the structure, it is somewhat like this. It is similar to that of columnar epithelial, but what is the difference here is the presence of cilia. You can see here name is cilia is given. Now what are cilia? Cilia are the hair-like structure. So you can see the hair-like structures are present just above these cells. So they are termed as epitheliated epithelial tissue. So when you will talk about the structure, its structure is exactly or almost similar to the columnar epithelial, but only the presence of cilia is the difference here. So cilia is present, that is why they are termed as ciliated. And what is cilia? A fine thread-like or hair-like structures that are present on the cells. So this is ciliated epithelial. And when we will talk about the location, they are present on the inner lining of our windpipe. They are present on the inner lining of the windpipe. Now one thing you might have seen that in all the epithelial tissue they are present on the inner lining, and when you will talk about the function, the common function is only the protection. As I am repeating again and again, the main role of the epithelial tissue is protection. So all the 4 types of epithelial tissues are providing the protection to our body. So this was about the ciliated epithelial tissue. I hope all the 4 types of epithelial tissues are clear to you. Now we will proceed to our next kind of tissues that are present in animal tissue. Now in my further videos I will tell you about the muscular tissue, connective tissue as well as nervous tissue. I hope you have understood everything. Kindly go through your books. So many subdivisions are given. I am repeating it again and again. Refer your book. Refer all the tables and refer all the diagrams that is given in your book. Thank you.